Well, a wild 24 hours to say the least as we take a look now at the ag marketplace and the daily market summary. I'm joined now by Garrett Arndorfer of agmarket.net. And Garrett, we will get into some of the craziness on the livestock side as of course we will talk about the New World Screwworm situation, but we want to start off as we always do with the grain side, and we saw quite a bit of price movement there as well today. So Garrett, what did we see out of the grains trade here on Thursday?
Grains is a down day. Corn's down about 8 cents across the board, really. You're seeing a continued downtrend with that. And then soybeans, last time we spoke, I had said double digits. Well, we're seeing it again, but in the 20s, not just teens today. You're seeing 25, 26 cents across that board, and it's a pretty big bar. Leading into that soybean drop, it kind of saw some technical points where we broke through what could have been noted as support. And soybeans were holding their ground while corn and spring wheat and winter wheat were kind of giving up. And now soybeans are catching up to their levels as well on downtrends. Into that wheat aspect, you're seeing spring wheat down just a little bit, really. I mean, 3-4 cents. It's not a crazy day in the wheat complex. I think you're seeing that from a lot of moisture that Canada and the United States, like North Dakota, South Dakota, Eastern Montana, that were really dry. They've been catching the moisture they needed. And that's just really causing that to trade down. And then canola is actually one market that has been really impressive, and that's seeing a down day as well. They had hit 800 yesterday and touched it today, but we're about 15 Canadian dollars down on that as well.
So, Garrett, I guess my only question then is we look at today in a selling day where we see a lot of downward movement in the grains. Why specifically then did soybeans take such a prominent hit in terms of that price today, do you think?
I think they really have been holding off on fundamental talks, just waiting for some news story to come out, and it didn't happen. And then on the technical, we really, if you're looking at new crop, the November 26 on a technical aspect, yesterday we had closed below that 50-day moving average, which also really matched up with your May lows. Today, we traded down below the April lows or really close to them. But towards the close, we've seen a little bit of a bump higher. I'm not going to call that a level of support yet, but it's something to watch. But yesterday's close really caused some selling in that market today.
And then, of course, on the livestock side of the trade, we have been closely watching the situation as New World Screwworm was detected officially for the first time in the United States in southern Texas. Garrett, I know you always have your eyes on the cattle markets, but what did we see in the trade today, and kind of what were your takeaways from today's trade?
First off, we had June 1st, those new limits in the cattle complex. There's a lot of folks that when that New World Screwworm case was announced, we really thought we were going to see the limits hit, but possibly towards the downside. And I think for quite a few individuals, it was a surprise to see we're limit up in the feeder cattle, $10.75 to the upside in the green. And it's green across the board. There was only 3 contracts, Jan, March, and April that didn't close in that 10.75 mark. And if you look at your live cattle, it was quieter, $3-4 higher. I think that Screwworm case has a little more influence on that feeder cattle market. And it also, that feeder cattle market seems to swing a little bit more volatile than that live cattle, but cattle complex is green across the board all over. Your hogs down 40, 60 cents, not a bad day, but they just seem to really stay in that downtrend that we've been talking about. They can't seem to find the support and the bounce to get up, break that downtrend.
And as you alluded to with the cattle side, maybe expected to see a downturn in that price, at least to some extent, which I guess we did at times in the daytime here today, but we saw it finish in a better position. So does that mean that a lot of this was maybe factored in already? Because when you think about it in the big picture, Garrett, this situation hasn't been vastly different over the past weeks and months. It's just the fact that we now have the detection just across the border in the United States. So maybe has the trade already kind of factored some of this in waiting for today?
Exactly. this screwworm story in the United States is new, but the screwworm story as a whole has been ongoing, especially the last 2 weeks. The headlines we've seen of it moving closer in miles to that Mexican border. The representatives put out that letter saying that it was a mile away, and then that got debunked. It got said that that wasn't true, so to say. But the headlines around Screwworm have been ongoing heavily in the last 2 weeks, and I think that it was almost foreseeing that this screwworm could end up in Texas, of all places, as that was where it was moving the closest to. So priced in, I do believe that there was priced in action of that screwworm story and it moving closer to the United States. I didn't expect a limit up move from it for sure. It caught me a little off guard, but I mean, that's why we have the risk we have the risk parameters in our pocket to be able to help producers. So when something unexpected like this does happen, you're not sitting there trying to guess which way that market is going to move. You're already prepared for it.
Well, a very interesting situation in the marketplace today. He is Garrett Arndorfer of agmarket.net. And thanks, Garrett, for joining us on the show here today to talk us through everything. Once again, for our viewers, head to agmarket.net for all of the marketing information and resources, and to get in touch with Garrett and the rest of the team. Garrett, thanks so much for the time. Really appreciate it, and have a great rest of your day.
Absolutely. Thank you.